Yep, as promised, we are looking at the unit test. As always, at the end of every unit, we've got a unit test. In this case, it's 9 questions. And I'm going to ask that you go ahead and pause the video after each problem. Give yourself a chance to check for your own understanding. It's a whole lot more difficult to try to do these problems on your own without me just feeding you the answers. And that's how you know you're really understanding, if you're able to do the problem correctly without my prompting. Without further ado, here we go for the fractions unit test. Or I'm sorry, for the equivalent fractions and comparing fractions unit test. There are more fractions to come after this. Graph 3/2 and 5/8 on the number line to show how each fraction relates to 1. Click on each dot and then compare. That's 5/8. That's 3/2. 3/2 is greater than 5/8. Question 2. A cow is 1/3 the height of a tree. A horse is 1/3 the height of a taller tree. Who is taller? Well, they're both 1/3, but the one that's 1/3 as tall as a taller tree is going to be taller. We will talk a lot about scaling and proportions later on down the line. Almost misclicked that one. Moving right along. Look at 1/3 and 2/6 and fill in greater than, less than, or equal to. Well, they helpfully provide a diagram here, but if you've been following along and understanding everything up to this point, hopefully you were able to see right away that they are equal. Rewrite each fraction with a denominator of 10. Well, with 3/5, I just have to double the bottom, which means I'm also doubling the top, right? Again, I really want to try to get this idea to sink in. When I am taking fifths and turning them into tenths, it means that I'm cutting all of those fifths into 2, including the 3, right? The 3/5 that I've got, I turn them into 6/10. That is a natural consequence of taking all of those fifths, including the 3 that I've got and maybe others that I don't have, and cutting them all in half to double both the amount of pieces that each hole is cut into, but also the amount of pieces that I have. I had 3 pieces out of 5. Every single one of those pieces was cut in half, so now I have 6 pieces out of 10. Same deal goes with 7/2, except we have to multiply by 5, so it's going to be 35/10. That's kind of a tough one. I would expect students to have a little bit of a hard time with that the first time they see it. What fraction is equivalent to point A? Is it 2/3, 4/5, 6/4, or 5/6? Well, that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if we look at this, instead of looking at it as every one step is a sixth, we could instead say if this is the first step and this is the second step and this is the third step, then that would be 1/3 and 2/3 and 3/3, right? With each step being the same distance and there being 3 of them to get from 0 to 1. That means that each one of those red marks is a third, which is another way to visualize this. A is equal to 2/3. What number could replace t below? We have 1 over 3 equals t over 6. And t would be 2. Roger has 3 pieces of yarn described below. A red piece of yarn that is 3/5 of a meter long, a yellow piece of yarn that is 6/10 of a meter long, a blue piece of yarn that is 1/4 of a meter long. Which statement is correct? The blue yarn is longer than the yellow, the red is longer than the yellow, or the blue is shorter than the red. The correct answer is that the blue yarn is shorter than the red yarn. 1/4 is less than 3/5. 2 more. 15 over 10 greater than, less than, or equal to 6 over 5. Definitely greater than. Last question. Which one of the following shows that 1/3 is equal to 2/6? Well, all of these show going from 6 pieces that are equal to 3 pieces that are equal, but only this pink one down here has 2 objects that were the same size to start with. And that is the unit test on comparing fractions and denominators. Let's see where we're at. That gets us to 100% mastery on this unit, backing out into 4th grade. We are now 47% of the way through the grade, and our next big journey is going to be adding, subtracting, and multiplying fractions. That, my friends, is going to take quite a lot of videos, so expect us to be locked in fraction land for quite some time to come. But for now, thank you so much for watching. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at MathDemigod. I'll see you next week, friends.